what world event predictions are coming up for the week ahead for the next 7 days. I'm going to be doing the collective energy reading today in 3 parts as usual. I'll be using the Forecaster Oracle. First part will be what's happening within the collective energy. Second part will be how that is affected world stage and predictions coming up for the week ahead, as well as how to navigate this energy on a personal level. Now, the last collective one that I done was 2 weeks ago because I had the monthly predictions last week. Big things did play out that was predicted in that week. The first was the volcano. I kept getting earth movement, a lot of force, and I said volcanoes or earthquakes. And there was the big earthquakes that happened with Venezuela that week. I also said was sensing a shift coming, or some changes or a turning point, something happening around the El Niño system, and I'll just let you know what's happened with that because that actually did happen. So it has been intensified. July 2026 marks the official onset of a strong El Niño. Multiple agencies confirming a rapid strengthening, record-breaking ocean heat and emerging global impacts. El Niño is now fully declared and strengthening quickly. The WMO warns it will become a strong event between July and September with high confidence across global climate models. The forming El Niño is likely to be a big one. So the surface temperatures are rising, already above 1.24 degrees Celsius, above average, so a signature of a very strong event. So here what I'm getting at is I was predicting some kind of changes or turning point happening around the El Niño system, and that's what I said and how I said it, and they've come out and officially declared the El Niño forecast to be a very strong one. So that was a turning point where that was declared. So let's get on to this week's reading and what's coming up for the week ahead. Okay, let's see what is happening in the collective energy this week. We've got some interesting cards on the table. To begin with, we've got a power plate, or I feel this is a big play or a major player. Now, I could be picking up the UK here with something about the chess pieces here and making me think about the UK. It's actually making me think of the Game of Thrones. So, and we're seeing an improved situation. Now, I don't know if this is the aftermath of the downfall of Keir Starmer, but I'm seeing some kind of power play or a maneuver taking place around leadership. And I think it's the UK, or it could be Europe, because I'm feeling just like Game of Thrones energy there. I'll come back to that one. So we've got collective energy. In the collective energy, this is not predictive. This is just the energy that's playing out in the collective. We're seeing an optimistic approach. So people focusing on more positive situations. There being power plays or maneuvers to improve certain situations in the collective. So how we are affected. Now, what I'm feeling around that is the situations that we're going through individually, being, economic downturn, all the stress around cost of living. So maybe there's some kind of strategic move at play to have a more optimistic approach about how people are feeling on an individual basis, to do with the collective energy, to do with the economy, to do with our cost of living and the things that are really stressing everybody out. So they're trying to throw the flip side. The rulers, the leaders are trying to play this out in a positive way, that it's for the best, but people have broken credibility, trust collapse. So it's past the point of trusting what the politicians are saying, and everybody has their eyes opened to know that you need to really look into what the leaders are saying. A lot of people are feeling that they've had their trust broken in leaders and politicians. Now, this could even be to do with Keir Starmer, because of what's played out with Keir Starmer. The people of the UK have felt that their trust in politics has been broken. So it makes you more cautious around having an optimistic approach that the changes will make a difference. Now, worldwide, not just the UK. Now, if I'm pulling back a little bit, all nations are experiencing trust collapse when it comes to leaders. Not all of them, but a lot of them are. A lot of people around the world are experiencing trust collapse, broken credibility, to do with how we feel about our leaders. Maybe there's a truth unveiled here too, a tell-all. Maybe we're receiving more information around something to do with a leader, and that will throw a spanner in the works when it comes to trusting whatever maneuvers they're making to make us feel better about what they're doing. Something will be unveiled here. Really interesting cards. They're very different cards than what we normally get. Big thing I'm feeling though is our collective energy this week will be affected by celestial triggers, solar pulse. So definitely it's saying that there's going to be some kind of sun solar activity that's going to be affecting the collective energy for sure this week. So look after yourselves this week. This is all about, some people can feel this in a way that makes them feel body sore. It can be lethargic, tiredness, weak muscles, not sleeping well. It can affect people in many different ways. So in the collective energy, because of what's happening with the solar activity, and then after that, let me just move that candle. Straight across the solar pulse card, which is very interesting, I think, considering I was just talking about that. So we've got this big streaking energy streaking across the sky, streaking across the spheres above. I'm not quite sure what they're called, the atmosphere, so the different spheres above. So this solar flare is coming through in a very strong way. Maybe there's 2 flares that are coming through, but I'm feeling like we're going to be affected in a very big way this week, individually from the collective. Now, I think that it's probably going to be such a big one that we're going to feel it, even if you're not normally affected by that EMF energy, that solar pulse energy or activity within the sun. Other people, or at other times, you can feel this energy in a very positive way. It can give you eyes open moment. It can give you ascended energy. It can give you where you feel like your psychic abilities are really enhanced. I've experienced that before with a solar pulse. I have experienced the other as well, where you just feel very tired, you don't sleep very well, and headaches and things like that. So I've experienced solar flares or solar pulses, the EMF disruption in both ways. So this activity that's going on here with these cards looks to be maybe 2 important flares coming in. Interesting. We have ethical override, people beginning to take action around data centers. Now that's interesting, because it's the AI sitting on top of civil unrest. So people are beginning to be uncomfortable around data centers, perhaps taking a stand, perhaps asking questions, perhaps wanting to know what is really going on here with this situation. We have a fertility this is to do with fertility and reproduction. Now, why would this be in the collective? In the collective energy, meaning fresh new energy because babies means new, it means new beginnings. We're looking at fresh new energy in the collective coming in. Now, this is what I'm kind of been picking up on around this solar flare. This is what I've been feeling over the last couple of weeks, that something's coming with a solar pulse or a solar flare, or, you know, X-class or M-class flare that is going to be a little different than what we're used to. I feel there's a benefit to it for some people. I feel there's a benefit if you can tap into it and handle the energy coming from it. But it feels quite big here. And I feel new, a new one. So it's maybe like a new something new that we haven't experienced before. Maybe it's different in some way, but there's consequences to this and it has a ripple effect. So the ripple effect will come from the solar pulse that affects the human residence and it affects the collective energy. So definitely you can see how these are all tied in together, but something about it is saying that it is reproduction, producing. So the solar activity is producing new flares, new activity, sparking off. Now, maybe because there's an arcing going on between two flares, and maybe that will produce a third flare or a different effect than normal, but there's something going on here with the sun, solar activity, and you can see what's going on with these cards in the middle here. So let's move on to predictively. But collectively, even though that's a prediction in itself, I do feel that it is strongly connected to what is happening in or will be happening over the next 7 days in the collective energy. We're going to feel this in a very big way. That solar activity that's happening right now is going to be felt in a very big way in the collective energy. So please look after yourselves. Do what you can when it comes to your sleeping patterns and just taking care of yourself, especially mental health issues and things like that. But other than that, if you're feeling this have the ability to tap into it on a growth way to do with psychic abilities, then I would say try and use this energy for a bit of a boost or a bit of a level up in your psychic abilities. So let's move on to the next section. Back to the prediction side. What's coming up in the next 7 days? Well, there is a catalyst event. There is a catalyst event coming to do with the solar pulse, solar flare, solar activity is a catalyst event. Sky agents, so things happening in the skies, is going to be a catalyst event for maybe it's inundation of, it could even be earth movement or rising waters, something going on with the El Niño again, because we're talking about the sea temperatures rising. Now, I don't think they're connected to the solar pulse, but this was what I read on 2 weeks ago, and it said there's a turning. I was kept picking up turning point, and I felt like somehow it was connected to the El Niño. I think I pulled that in psychically, and I'm seeing these two cards coming in together again. So, whether they came in together last time 2 weeks ago, or whether I was just picking it up around the turning point, to do with the sea level waters and the El Niño and the change in this El Niño system. Here I'm seeing that there's an inundation here, and I'm feeling like it's a turning point for sure, but it is a catalyst event. It could be connected to sun, it could be connected to what's happening solar. Now, this one normally tells me don't forget to do the astrology. I just haven't pulled a chart for the astrology today, but something taking place in the astrology that could be causing a turning point or a catalyst event. Now, because it's not collective energy, it's predictive, I'm more inclined to say that it is a sky event, such as the sun, that is causing this catalyst event. Now, it could be something to do with drones, drone intelligence, drone technology, because I was picking up as I was shuffling something around the tech industry and something around tech industry, and then the surveillance state came out. We also have digital identity, data sync, and I was wondering something around satellites maybe, because we've got this drone intelligence sky agent, so maybe there's something to do with other drones or satellite technology coming up predictively this week, something there, but it will affect how digital data is handled, or surveillance or monitoring of individual people. So there's something developing now, currently in motion, and I feel like it's some kind of techie, some new tech or some new thing to do with satellites, or I wonder if satellites will be affected by solar pulse, because it's coming up in the same reading. I'm not sure if it's connected, or I'm not sure if it's two separate things, but I'm definitely seeing solar activity is a catalyst event, turning point, but I'm really feeling something going on around satellites this week as well. Whether that means new technology to do with digital identity and monitoring, surveillance state, or whether it's to do with a catalyst event and it affects satellites in some way. I'm seeing a final loss morning card. It's the final echo. This normally means the death of somebody. We're going to be hearing that on the news, the passing of somebody well known this week. It's not giving me any indication what industry they're in. It sits next to drone technology, that's tech, drone intelligence, that's tech industry. But there's no other indicator what industry this is. Now I'm just going to pull a card for the first time just to see if we can get any information there, what industry we're looking at. Okay, so that first card that fell out was unfolding drama or scandal. So I'm not sure of how that's connected. Drama, scandals, loss, mourning, final echo. That's the death card. Okay, again we have the civil unrest, and again it's something to do with the fertility card sitting together there. I'm going to have to clean these cards because of that wax incident. So let's see, predictively, what are we looking at? We're definitely looking at something to do with the solar activity. As I said, it was a prediction that came up in the collective situation because it also affects collective energy, but I definitely feel that's quite a very big, strong one that I'm feeling this week. But then there's also something going on around data centers or technology, satellites. There's something going on there as well, whether it means they're launching new ones or whether it means they're affected by solar activity. But there's some kind of catalyst event, could be rising tides, water inundation. This could be again referring to the turning point for the El Niño system strengthening, becoming stronger. We're in for a really big El Niño system from July, as I read out in the intro. But this is all in motion, developing now, but I do feel like because it's a turning point, catalyst event, something's happening, and it's getting stronger. It could be one of the biggest ones we've ever experienced. Personally, I feel like people are going to be really impacted or affected around their financial situation, their economic cost of living situation. So people's minds are going to be turned to those things. For some of you, it could be abundance coming in this week. So as a personal prediction for you this week, you could be looking at growth or expansion on an idea moving forward to do with abundance or to do with financial windfalls. Growth energy here, but it can also be that people are very focused on their finances or their individual economic cost of living situation. This is interesting because it's genetic, biotech, ethics and advances, but we've also had that fertility card come out twice, and then we've got this genetic biotech. This is advances in stem cell research, but also peptides and things like genetics, chromosomes, that kind of stuff. It's that whole industry. There's an advancing coming. Maybe there's a change, a consciousness shift, people changing or adapting and learning more about what's available in the biotech or genetic biotech research. That's kind of interesting. Now there's differences, divide. This is, again, this could be on a personal level. You may not agree with certain people. You may have your own opinion, and that's fine. People should have different opinions. But on personal relationships, it will be that one person in a relationship may experience the collective energy, what's going on with those last two readings, can be affected in a negative way. And this is what I'm talking about with the solar energy. I feel like some people can take it as irritability, headaches, body aches, not sleeping well, it affects your moods, and other people can take that energy in as a level up or advance energy, a growth in energy here. So I'm feeling like it's going to affect people in different ways. It's almost like a divide or a split in how people are absorbing the electromagnetic and magnetic energy coming, or radiation, or the solar activity coming in. So here we're seeing exiting role, closing a door. For some of you, you could be closing a door on a situation, changing course. Now maybe that means for you, you're feeling like something has outlived its usefulness in your life, or a certain situation in your life just doesn't feel to align to you anymore. So there's you closing a door and taking a new course, a new path. So that's really exciting. Now that could be affecting your finances in a very positive way. So maybe something that has been very draining on your income or your finances could be to do with related to outgoing expenses as well. Closing the door on those things in order to change your course, shift your course, take control of your finances a little bit better there. But I feel these three are connected, and I feel like you're really making decisions this week around what path is best for you moving forward. We have unseen connections, hidden dynamics, so things that are going on in the background. Maybe they're not in your face, but there's certain things going on in the background. Now, maybe that is just spirit intervening to help put you on the right path, to help your financial abundance. Maybe there's a need to surrender to the flow of where you feel like you're being guided to go when it comes to changing course and letting go of the things that are just not working for you anymore. We have the other card is animal signals. For some of you, it could be to do with your pets. Just really prominent this week for you, something going on around your pets. Let me know if this is you. For others, it could be because collectively, if this was a collective thing, I would say animals acting strangely. But it's not, it's more personal. So this is more about personal pets, I feel here, going on for you on a personal level. But as always, I hope you all have a beautiful week ahead. Remember, you are in control of how you experience the collective energy and what you put into the collective energy. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again next week.